Hello everyone and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel and today I'm joined by my co-host who I just want to punch square in the face, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to talk about Karate Kid Legends. The 1-inch punch, boom, right to the nose. Just fucking shatter that bone, you know? God. We're here to talk about Karate Kid Legends, a new entry in the long-running Karate Kid series that has some familiar faces returning. We're here to give you our thoughts. Of course, if you have seen this film, feel free to leave your comments about this movie in the comment section down below or join our Discord server where we have a Discord channel that you can join and talk to us about all this stuff. I know it's crazy. Tanner, take a deep breath. Focus your chi. I don't know. They don't say that in the movie. I just wanted to say that.
They say that in the movies, in the series.
Yeah. What do you think about Karate Kid Legends?
It's pretty good. Like, it's pretty solid, I think. I think it's a bit of an uneven product if we're talking about, the narrative of it and the pacing of it. I think that it can. Ultimately, I think the film is a lot of ideas, a lot of story packed into too short of a film.
Yeah.
It is only like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But it has like genuine heart. I like the performances in it. I think it has a little bit of the flashiness, especially when we get into the fights themselves, especially this, the classic final battle, the final tournament of a Karate Kid movie. But I think I think there are strong pieces here that don't exactly flow together in the way that I would have liked them to, or perhaps the creative team would have liked them to, or meant them to.
Yeah. This is a movie that hits all the beats. And then about halfway through, it's hitting the beats that you expect. It becomes a different movie in the second half. And I was like, oh. And so that's the problem with Karate Kid Legends. I do agree. I think it's a good movie. I like what you said about the performances. There's a couple choices in terms of editing and things that I think are pretty solid. But on the whole, it feels pretty stock standard. Like it's a very TV-ish movie. Like it feels like I'm watching the CW show or something like that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe Cobra Kai or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is not the massive issue. Again, it's solid. But I do think the reason that I'm really held back from like connecting to it on a serious level is that a chunk of the way through the narrative, we kind of just shift gears. And I really do think that the introduction of way too many characters, and which backgrounds our main character in a weird way, it cuts off a little bit of the character progression or personality that I thought was like coming in that first part of the movie. It's split down the middle in a really awkward way that I think doesn't do either half justice in terms of well realizing the characters.
Yeah, for sure. It is kind of like two movies, and let's break it down here. So, the rough story of this film is we have our main character portrayed by Ben Wang. His character's name is Li Fong. He is the grandson of Jackie Chan's character, Mr. Han. And his mother, played by Ming-Na Wen, says, "Hey, we're moving to New York," and they move to New York, and she's also like, "No fighting, because fighting got your brother killed," which is a
no fighting, no fighting, no fighting.
That's right. So they move
and she says that a lot.
She does say no fighting quite a bit. I could have used more Ming-Na Wen. She is a good actress, and I think she's quite underutilized in this film, especially as the narrative sort of really progresses.
Yes.
But he meets a cute girl, and the cute girl's dad is like, he owns a pizza place, and he's a former boxer, and so the first 2/3 of the movie are kind of about like him getting ingratiated with this girl, and then the dad, and then teaching the dad how to fight again so they can get money for the pizza shop, because there's dangerous loan sharks all about.
Yeah. That also happen to run a kung fu or karate dojo.
Yeah, they also run a dojo. So yeah, that is what. Would you say 2/3 of the movie? I think there is a clear divide basically when there's 40 minutes left in the movie.
That's halfway in the movie, Tanner.
Oh, that's it. Tucker, that is a great point, actually. Yeah. I was thinking of more 3 acts, but no, this is a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
And then at that halfway point that you're talking about, it becomes the movie that was basically promised in trailers.
Correct,
that is the legacy sequel stuff. So yeah, that's where the unevenness, the disconnect comes from, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, and I honestly think that I have a hard time giving this movie any like particular praise, even though I do think that it is ultimately a very watchable, solid enough film.
Yeah, I agree.
But that first chunk, let's explore that first.
Okay.
Ben Wang as Li Fong, kind of fish out of water, first time in the States. doesn't quite know how things work, but is scrappy enough and figures things out quite quickly. Very, very stock standard story.
Classical setup for a Karate Kid movie.
Yes. Yeah. Now, to be clear, I actually haven't seen the other Karate Kid movies.
Oh, okay.
So, I believe you. But I even felt, even without the context of the other films, that I was like, all right, I feel like I've seen this story before.
Well, yeah, it's not just Karate Kid movies. It's plenty of movies. Kid moves to a new place and has to learn the ropes. And there's a bully and yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so I wasn't particularly surprised by that first chunk, but I did think that it was solid because I think Ben Wang is a lot of fun. He's got this kind of cool head about him. He's not as maybe hot-headed as you'd expect, like a character that's going to get into fighting to be, right? He actually does genuinely take to heart what his mom says about not fighting. There's this element in his past with his brother's death that kind of scares him away from fighting. And I like that as sort of a character thing, but I also gotta be honest, I don't really get how he overcomes that or why he overcomes that or why he transitions into fighting. Like, he doesn't really, let's be honest, seem that interested in fighting for the first like 2/3 of this movie. He's like,
he's just
looking
trying
at
to
it
make
kind
a
of
go
like,
of it.
yeah, and he's just like kind of going to school and going on like
Doing
little
his
cute dates
thing.
and stuff. And at the beginning of the movie, and this is where I think a big disconnect is and why this short runtime feels so weird. We don't see him like show his skills or have any fighting until like a really solid chunk of the way through the movie, and like he's just like kind of training at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he's just hitting. Here, this is the weird thing too. Okay, so I know you haven't watched the other movies, but I think you can probably intuit a strong part of the Karate Kid formula is that at a certain point, a kid who doesn't know how to fight learns how to fight.
Yeah.
Like there's the training montage. And we still do training montage, but Li Fong knows how to fight already.
Yeah.
He's training at Mr. Han's dojo at the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. And so there's some maybe some misunderstanding about like, well, how good at fighting is he?
Exactly.
Because there is a first act, transition into the second act fight scene where he is straight up, and then they joke about this. He's straight up doing like Spider-Man stuff. He's like swinging off the ladder, the fire escape ladder, and kicking guys in the head or whatever.
Yeah.
He is very astute at this. I mean, but this is also after he's already lost like a schoolyard fight with the main villain of the movie.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of inconsistency there with the power scaling of Li Fong.
No, that's definitely true.
I kid, but like there was a little bit of weirdness there for me too.
It's hard to tell because this movie doles out its backstory in a weird way as well, and it drops you right into the middle of this totally new character dynamic with Lee and his mother and with Mr. Han and all of that, and then you go straight to fucking New York with after 4 minutes into the movie. It's hard to get your footing for the first bit, and within the mind of Li Fong, you're like, what is his goal? Like, why does he really care about this? Like, we learn a little bit about it, we learn more about it later. Like, it feels kind of uneven for that first chunk of the movie, but again, it also is fitting into very stock standard tropes that I do think are where that first chunk of the movie works. You're like, I like watching this kid go about his life. Like it's a fun little fish out of water foreign transfer student story.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, who is it? It's Sadie Stanley is Mia. She is sort of the cute, teen love interest of this movie, where we get to see them go on their first date, and they're kind of awkward, but they have chemistry and stuff like that. Like, that stuff all works. That stuff is sweet, solid, like kids movie, like teen movie kind of stuff. Yeah. I think both of them are quite good, and
they have good chemistry.
They have good chemistry, and they're selling some cheesy, corny lines that you might expect from a movie like this. But it's all about selling it. Is the important thing. And then I think that what is her dad's name?
Victor
Joshua Jackson.
Lapani. Played by Joshua Jackson.
He is okay.
Yeah, he is aggressively okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He just does not leave an impact. First of all, it is a unique idea for a story, this kid training the older guy. Man. And then also introducing boxing to it. But also, again, it doesn't feel like Lee's story at that point. You're like,
I would tend to agree.
He's training someone else, and his goal is to train this guy in boxing mixed with karate, but how legal is that in the rules of boxing? Like,
I don't know.
It introduces like some weird questions that again feel like it takes focus away from Lee's story, especially because I keep wanting to focus on him, and then our attention just keeps getting pulled away.
Also, Mia weirdly drops out of a good section of that like him connecting with the Victor stuff. Of like, well, shouldn't Mia also be in this? But like she kind of flip flops between being okay with and also angry at her dad with going back to fighting. But yeah, so I think that because the movie at that point, it's trying to speed through things. It speeds through a little bit. It doesn't. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't feel like you're speeding through the story when you're in it, but as soon as we move on to a different kind of story, a different type of story, then you're like, well, what happened to the thing I was liking earlier? And that happens numerous times in this film. It happens with the little teen romance. It happens with like the boxing training, and then we settle on what happens at the end.
Yeah, which is training for the tournament arc, which comes on like a fucking train. Like it's a moment that Victor gets knocked out, and it's like, you know, a lonely night of the heart or whatever, and everyone's just like fucking sad. And
Mia's like, you got my dad almost killed. Yeah.
And then somehow Jackie Chan's like, oh shit, Leah's real sad right now. I'm gonna fly over to New York, leave my dojo behind that has like hundreds of kids training at it. I don't know. There's no moment where we learn how he knew to come there or whatever. So he just shows up, and then he finds out. He finds out while he's there that there's going to be this training thing or this tournament, and then they immediately train for it. And I'm like, but honestly, again, to the first part of the movie, Lee is not that interested in fighting. He does take what his mom says to heart. He's kind of afraid of fighting for a good chunk, and he's teaching someone else to fight. And then, really, honestly, what does he actually have to gain from this last bit? Like, there is a monetary thing to it, but like,
yes, the idea is that he will win the $50,000 to pay off Victor's loan and save the pizza shop, and set things right with Mia and Victor and everyone.
But instead of him deciding that he wants to do this, he's pushed into doing it by Jackie Chan, who shows up and is like, fuck you, you're doing this. And I was like,
it's like Jackie Chan comes in at the halfway point and is like, oh guys, we gotta
it's
set
a Karate Kid movie.
Guys, I've been in the Karate Kid movie before. We gotta get here. We're doing the Karate Kid movie. Don't worry. And it's exactly that. If there's always a fighting tournament, so he's like, you'll do this fighting tournament or whatever, and he's like, you'll beat up the bully that you have, because I've been in a Karate Kid movie before. So it's again, we keep using the word, but like a disconnect there. It really comes on suddenly, exactly. And then we do some training with Jackie Chan, and then Jackie Chan's like, up. I know what else this movie needs. We need another legacy character to come on in. So he's like, I know a guy in California, and then we do California Dreamin' or whatever, Needle Drop, and then he rolls up to Mr. Miyagi's house from the first movie, and who's there but old Danny LaRusso is sitting in that house.
He's there to put on the poster.
He really is.
He's not there for any particular reason. The legacy sequel aspect of this feels really, really ham-fisted. Like, the fact that neither of them are in the story until over halfway through it, especially not Ralph Macchio, who shows up even later, feels, again, it just makes him feel super underutilized, and then, again, takes focus away from the character who is working, which is Lee. Once Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio show up, the movie ultimately becomes about their dynamic as two teachers who have similar but slightly different angles to things, and it's just this weird cycle of a long extended training montage, and then a training montage that goes like, we're counting down the days, boom, 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 boom. And then we like cycle back to things that happened before, because this is definitely not all happening on the last day of this thing.
It's all like fun montage, but if you try to break it down narratively, it falls apart a little bit. I think that's kind of the trade-off that is like the dichotomy of this movie. That's like, it's kind of like well made and charming, but at the same time it's a bit of narratively a mess. You really feel like, what you really feel like is that like maybe the script was a more fresh start Karate Kid, like new Karate Kid movie, and the studio's like, well, we're not going to greenlight this unless you can like legacy sequel this thing.
Yeah.
And so they like try to crowbar these legacy sequel stuff in and like make the back half of the movie, the things that you anticipate. And we were joking with our friends that like would be in this movie were like Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan. Boy, they don't get along, and they don't fight each other, but you can anticipate that they do fight some bad guys. Again, something that happens very quickly, almost like an afterthought of a scene, where like some guys try to rush Li Fong at the tournament, and they like beat him up or whatever.
But like, why did they rush Li Fong? Like, what?
The reason for the scene is to see them fight together. That is the whole reason, is to see Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio fight side by side, which is something that like you need to do if you're making a Karate Kid legacy movie.
Yeah. So, and quickly to the point of just the pacing of this being odd in this last part, because the focus is so much on Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, all the storylines, as you were mentioning, that were set up previously feel like they're just completely abandoned. Mia is barely in this last part. They like try to have a moment where everyone kind of helps them have like a first date on the rooftop or whatever. But it kind of, again, it just feels like it comes out of nowhere. And also, I don't know if you got this too, but because we're supposed to be showing how much more knowledgeable Mr. Han and Danny are than Li Fong, he kind of feels like an idiot in the last chunk of this movie. Like, he feels like he's kind of bad at these things. Like they're just like knocking him over constantly. I'm like, you're just fucking bullying this kid. He's not learning anything from this. And isn't he supposed to be the cool character that like was a really, really skilled, and obviously not compared to the guys who've been doing this for decades, but like it feels like it treats him as a joke in this last chunk of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff certainly is played for comedy, which is, again, like the mode that you would be operating in if you're making a Karate Kid Legacy sequel, is like, and he even has the line, he's like, oh boy, now there's two of them. Can you imagine if there was two Mr. Miyagis both doing like funny little bits of like weird training stuff? Exactly.
Yeah, but also, let's also be honest, Ralph Macchio, as Daniel LaRusso in this movie, he's not like funny. He's not really doing bits.
Yeah.
He's dry. He's a dry character. He's there again to put on the poster, and because he's iconic from the original movie. But the energy that Pat Morita or Jackie Chan bring to the kind of zanier, but also very
than what
and more
than
endearing,
what Macchio
and more
brings.
engaging. Ralph Macchio is just like a respectful, focused guy. And so when they try to have him do bits, I'm like, this isn't working. I honestly don't think that he and Jackie Chan have great chemistry with one another.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, because Jackie Chan is just like just like leagues above Macchio in terms of like action talent. Yeah. Even being like 71, I think Jackie Chan is. He's a decade older than Macchio. Like, and listen, I was watching to see if like how much action stuff is Chan actually gonna do in this movie. The answer is not a whole lot. And frankly, I did see some some filmmaking things that you probably blink and you miss it, but like they're doing a lot of like cutting them off at like the neck or whatever, or whenever Jackie Chan needs to do like a flip, he needs to flip Ben Wang over, we like swing behind Macchio or something like that to do a quick little cowboy switch or something. There's some of that. And you know what? He's 71. I get it. I understand. Tucker, is there anything? I like the final tournament. Like, I think this is something that these movies are always good at, is delivering you a solid, very entertaining, like, final match. Because they just set up, like, the bully as, like, this kid's a fucking maniac. He's evil. And, I want to see the snot beat out of him.
Yeah, he's definitely cartoonishly evil. Yeah. And I think that actually really applies to a lot of the characters here. It does have heart. And I do like the performances, but we're operating in tropey tropes, and we're operating in the lens of, as I mentioned earlier, feels kind of just like a kid's TV movie, kind of like Tanner. If you saw this on fucking Nickelodeon or Disney Channel originals, like it would like it does feel kind of like a Paramount Plus original.
I would say it has a bit more polish than like a made-for-TV movie. I don't want to be too rude to it, but I mean it definitely has a vibe resembling that. And I think frankly, if it didn't have the legacy characters in it, that's where we would be seeing it. We would be seeing it a Netflix original, Karate Kid Legends or whatever.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Any other? Sorry, go ahead.
The fights, I think, are interesting. There are very few of them in this movie.
Yeah.
And the ones that are there are very, very quick. Except for the last one, they take like 45 seconds, like to 90 seconds. Like they're in this like really short window. And they're very cutty aroundy. I was not impressed by not necessarily the choreography, but the way that it was shown to us through lots and lots of multiple angles. I think the best fight in the movie is the one you were mentioning earlier in the sort of alleyway between the buildings where he beats up like 3 or 4 guys. And there's some cool moments of choreography in there, but then there's just these moments where like the camera is like, the was it Taken where Liam Neeson takes like 4 shots?
It's Taken
like,
3.
Like,
yeah.
It's kind of that, but for a kid who's probably actually really good at his choreography, I'm like, no, just let him do it. Just let him like bounce off the walls and like beat these guys.
I was looking. The director here is Jonathan Entwistle. And this is his first feature film, and he only directed like looks like an independent little short film.
Sure.
That's like about I was like it's about like furries or something. I don't really know. I don't think I'm joking, but maybe I am. But yeah, so I'm like we're not getting like an action director here.
Yeah.
We're not getting a John G. Avildsen out of like coming into the first movie, or a classic filmmaker that we all love like Harold Zwart handling Karate Kid 2010. But no, I definitely felt what you're saying. And I feel like we're being overly negative. This is a fun movie. Like, it's solid.
No, it is.
If you were going to it sort of like expecting, oh boy, can't wait to see Macchio and Jackie Chan cutting it up for the whole movie, it's not that.
No, it's
and if you're going to it being like, oh boy, I can't wait to see like a movie that is a really compelling arc of like a new kid, hitting the same tropes, but like in a new generation of Karate Kid. It's also not fully that either.
Yeah, and that's where my frustration comes in, is because I think both ideas are compelling in their own right, but I think they kind of cannibalize one another. Within 90 minutes of screen time, we have 2 stories that are like fighting in on the middle of on each other. It's like, no, you're like taking the energy away from where, like, if this was from the very beginning something about Jackie Chan, Ben Wang, and Ralph Macchio, all 3 of them working together, trying to balance the different styles of karate teaching a little bit better, and focusing in on the dynamic between the 3 of them, I think, number one, that would help the Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio dynamic feel a little bit more earned, because those characters don't actually know each other. And so, like, when they're interacting, there's no history. And so there's nothing really to build on there. And also, I do think that it would mean that we would be able to feel the character balance a little bit better across the course of the movie, instead of having these characters intersect halfway through and then having to like basically start fresh on like a group character dynamic. The character dynamic group in the first the first half is Mia, her father, and Li Fang. And then in the second half of the movie, Mia and her father are not there. No. And then there's also fucking the tutor, Alan, who just does not need to be in this goddamn movie.
Yeah, the kid from It.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
this kid who's probably older than us.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely is. But yeah, I mean, I think we sort of summed up the issues of the movie. But like, if you're interested, check it out. It's a fun popcorn muncher. It's a fun time out at the movies. I would say it has a certain amount of charm and heart to it that elevates it above some other like boring, soulless stuff that has been out at the movies in terms of blockbusters. It's not like a soulless legacy sequel. I feel like there was an earnest attempt to make like a compelling new story.
Well, also
that
because
maybe got bogged down by some like studio requirements.
Yeah, especially because from what I know of the other Karate Kid movies, Li Fang is a unique character. His journey, without a guy training him for the first half of the movie, is unique. It does give him a little bit more of personal narrative thrust. He's not just like it's not just a training montage movie. It is this different thing in the first half. And being in New York and incorporating boxing and having the final fight be on top of this giant tower, there are definitely ideas here. I like the sort of like Spider-Man-y like pizza shop aspect of it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It really does have some charm in that section of the movie. I think the wind was just taken out of my sails when they felt like they, instead of continuing that energy forward, they had to do something different from that last act to ostensibly sell the movie, because I didn't know about Mia or her dad or the pizza shop or the boxing or anything from the marketing.
They haven't advertised any of that.
Yeah, but like that's the movie.
When I saw those characters on the poster, I was like, "Who's this guy with boxing gloves?"
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And at its best, it is really trying to be like, on its best day, it's like, well, we tried to do like Spider-Man 2 meets Creed or whatever.
Yeah.
But, those are lofty heights. Those are lofty expectations for this movie that kind of crumbles as it tries to maybe piece together some jigsaw pieces that don't really fit. Anyway, spoilers for the very end. If you wanted to go in fresh, William Zabka's there. Johnny Lawrence is back, and he has a little bit at the end.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations
to that guy who probably hasn't been in anything for 15 years.
He's in Cobra Kai.
Oh, is he? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's probably a thing that is actually relevant. But it's interesting that this movie, again, is in a good chunk about its legacy sequel and larger franchise connections. But I do think this is also an approachable movie, surprisingly so for the uninformed. Cobra Kai is what? 4 seasons, 5 seasons,
something like that.
Yeah,
I think that might be 6.
It's a big thing, and also definitely the biggest and most relevant Karate Kid adjacent element in pop culture of the last 20 years.
For sure.
And so I'm surprised that this wasn't like what I assume Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be, where it's like trying to carry over the direct storyline.
It does not expect you to have watched Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
In fact, it seems to like sort of forget that is the case. I think that might even be a legality thing because Netflix owns Cobra Kai. They do not say the words Cobra Kai in this movie at all. Okay. So interesting stuff there. Tucker, what would you give this movie out of 10?
I'm going to give this a 5.6 out of 10. It's an okay movie.
It's an okay movie. I was going to go a 6 out of 10, but it also does have a Benson Boone song in it, so I'm going to go a 5 out of 10.
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it. I knew you wouldn't know who Benson Boone is, but I think most people will understand who that is and why I would take away a star.
All right, everyone point and laugh at me in the comments for not knowing this.
Tucker, I mean, I think you are a testament to the Benson Boone effect, as well as all I will say.
I don't know what that means, but thanks for watching, everyone.